Today's questions going to be very fun. I tend to drink out the Bartnick's mine and Dr. Athens on this one. So I added some flute and clarinet questions on this part right here. This should be fun. Let's see who's the laughing dog now on this one. Alright, what are things to look for in clarinet amateur? Okay, somebody you read this one. I'm going to say head of rat, enough mouthpiece in the mouth, is the mouthpiece angle to relatively small mouthpiece, is the lower lip against the lower teeth, is there too much lip over the teeth, are the teeth lifting cheeks against the teeth, are the teeth on top, at the bottom and top of the teeth aligned, and it's the jaw down. I think that's all of that. What should a teacher expect for tone in clarinet amateur? Amateur meaning, and I hope that's not a tough one. Teachers should expect the tone to be pure and the notes to speak. Clarinet tone is into the D2. B flat clarinet sound is a major second lower than the red. Okay, so the flute is a C pitch instrument, which whatever note they start on is what they start on. But if this happens and I get to have the transpose for clarinet, I have to write everything down by lower second, major second. Clarinet A sounds like a minor third lower than Brittany. Alto sounds like a major six. Bass clarinet is a major nine. Throat tones on the clarinet sounds kind of when it's kind of short, it has little to no fingers at all. What are common flat tendencies of clarinet? The common can be, and this can be for a lot of people, cold temperatures, loud volumes including consider soft reeds, and the angle of the clarinet face to kind of greatly. Sharp tendencies on the clarinet. The sharp one's going to be the lower register, soft volumes including thick crescendo, hard reeds, and throat tones. When a teacher should mention a clarinet reed to parents, what should be the recommended? Okay, I kind of reword this from the bio book, by the way. Reword some of these things, questions to real life scenarios. So, and if I was a teacher, which I'm planning to be soon, as soon as I get into prep program and as soon as I get into all the stuff, I would say a number 2 read or a 2.5 read for first years. Should a teacher what should a teacher instruct clarinet players to do before playing on their reed? Okay, very common rule if there's a clarinet, reeds are involved, and I think for the one part that I remembered was first of all you have to listen to your ligature. Wait, no, sorry. You have to wet the reed first before placing it on. I think that's how it goes. Wet the reed, then you place it on your mouthpiece with the ligature, then the barrel, then the body, then the leg of the body. Wait, and okay. So yeah, reed, the body, and the leg, and it goes the footing of it, and then the pedal. So I'm saying you want to read. What should be a good way to clean the clarinet before returning to? Okay, so I remember how to buy all these supplies for clarinet. You have to take a thin cloth every time you clean it, you have to go through the darn top of the barrel before you take it out and slide it through and get it through everything. The target pitch on a small piece is F sharp, normally. There are two types of ligature explained: mouthpiece and barrel with religature. What is a gold pulse in clarinet small piece assembly? The gold pulse would be that the clarinet should cradle the small piece in the palm of the hand to establish the tone. Explain the scribe line in the clarinet. Scribe line is when they pull the ligature below the top. The reasons for pulling the lower lip against the lower teeth would have to be to establish the active firm nature of the lower lip of the reed, to place the lip over teeth, and to move the jaw forward, such as the bottom and top teeth or of line. Lower lip contacts the reed at the fulcrum. Upper teeth contacts the mouth. That's the point of contact. Lips and cheeks would have to do is to firm. It firms them up. The jaw has to go down. What is the shape of the oral cavity in the airstream category for the clarinet armature? What is the shape? The shape of the oral cavity is important because it should be active and not very well passive. Rewrite each item. What to look for clarinet armature in abbreviated. To use them tomorrow as a teacher. Use enough words to remind you what to look for. For example, the word head might be enough to jog your memory for a red head. Teachers should look for things such as head positioning and facing forward. No, not it. Okay, sorry. Wrong instrument. In this case, I would be looking for the lower teeth against the lower lip with contact at the fulcrum, while the upper teeth on the mouthpiece and the lower jaw. That one. Demonstrate on your clarinet when the notes will not speak. When the notes don't speak, you have to a lot of times. It's necessary to say that you're going to have to adjust your armature and use very fast air. You have to constantly going to blow that darn thing. This was particularly about assembling the lower and upper joints of the clarinet. What is it? Lower and lower and okay. What happens first in clarinet assembly? That people take and loosen the ligature first, and take the reed and put it in its case. So you have to do that a couple of times. And then after that, your mouthpiece and the barrel goes in. Then the body and the foot and the bell goes after that. How should a potential teacher explain the 2 o'clock position in clarinet? So the 2 o'clock position should be that the left thumb should extend below the hole just enough to top to overlap between the angle and the right cheek. The student can think of this as rocking the thumb and not even playing it. How can a teacher say no lean in the hand position? So the no lean means that forming the backwards C on the right hand. Because if you have left over right, per se, And there's going to be a way that teachers are going to get to crossing the bridge. And there's a point you're going to have to use the pinkies for the padded keys very much. So that is going to be the concept of why we formed that backwards hand in the first place. So, a typical beginning band method book clarinet does not make use of the right hand for a long time. This can lead to bad habits. How can this be avoided? I just said this. Now, it does not because, which creates a bad habit because then again, sometimes a student might place their right hand above their left, which makes it very difficult to crossing the bridge when they get to that section. Sometimes the teacher should make sure that good posture is being established, like hand gestures, hand postures, is established first, meaning the fact that the left hand would have to be above the right hand. So, when you're practicing the clarinet, are you thinking about doing the things listed under the list for amateur? And okay, so this one is teachers should look for rhymes to producing it. And playing the clarinet, have you checked it? Okay. Let's go on the table. For the clarinet amateur teaching strategies, the 6 ideas listed on firm lips and cheeks against the teeth and jaw down are very strong. Try using them for yourself. So all of them is a combination for a good strong amateur. Provide 2 strategies to deal with puffed cheeks in clarinet. So for the first strategy, it's okay. Now I know how to explain this. That the lower lip is tucked against the lower teeth. The cheeks have to be firm, and your top teeth have to be contacting the reed. Before tonguing is introduced, sounds should begin. Flute players should start the tone. Flute players, okay. Okay. Confidence. There's 3 major differences between playing the bass clarinet and playing the B flat. So the B flat clarinet sounds a major second lower, and the E flat clarinet it sounds by a minor third, in which the bass clarinet will have a unique bell and a neck strap, and the peg goes up higher. Which band is most well known for a quality clarinet? Blah blah. 4 registers of the clarinet is the shallow, throat, clarion, and the high. The describes the typical throat tones how it could be encountered. Okay. If I was a teacher, how would I encounter this one? The notes can be puffy and flat, pitch and sharp, but sometimes this can be encountered if a student is not using as much fingers or no fingers at all. So the throat tone, the side cleat alternates fingering B flat very useful. And even band literature make sure so the throat tone is the oral cavity. Nope. Dominant index finger. Okay, well that's a new one. Well, I haven't heard that in a while. What tune in the armature is? Tune in the armature should be their teeth on top, fast airspeed amount. Demonstrating your clarinet, the process is blend the ranges and that's effective. So the barrel is about 1/8 of an inch. That should give it a big sound. The midsection use alternate fingers and the belt as a clarinet. Throat tone is okay. So this one is the thumb and the index. Indicate clarinet pitches for the following conditions: low register sharp tendency, throat register sharp, softness start, and beginners should start on what strength read. Okay, but just just add a question similar to it, and to either size 2 read or size 2.5, and no later than that. True or false? The tips to the sides of the reeds are vibrating. True. True. How is the warp reed fixed? Warp reeds can be wet by soaking it longer or by pressing the thumb at the tip of the table against the mouthpiece. The table of the reed is found where? The table is found in the back of the reed and is used to help the reed avoid the warping. After removing the reed of the mouthpiece, how should the reed be stored? Reed case. And yes, clarinets, if you buy reeds as an open one, it's going to have a little plastic casing, so you should use them. So, how can a teacher explain reed rotation? How does it benefit the player? Reed rotation is common because all students do not use one reed all the time. They're going to have to alternate it because of the fact that they wear inner tear, which does not make it so hard to get used to. How does the band orchestra attain reeds, or is the student's responsibility to get them? Okay, if it would not have been my responsibility for one to have reeds for every single student. I get it if it's somebody's first time playing an instrument, like for like clarinet, saxophone, stuff like that. But my prerogative is to teach students to be accountable and responsible for themselves. So I would have to say they're going to have their own, because sometimes the reed's going to go out with little to no notice. They're going to chip it out pretty much all the time. That's all everyday occurrence. Yes. How should a mouthpiece be washed? Pumps, right? Describe the mouthpiece and their usefulness. A mouthpiece is the patch. The patch is used to get used to when you reach for the patch. Cleaner repair kits should include screwdrivers, cork grease, belt, and rubber. Describe the condition and a characteristic: flute armature in the line of lips, flute angle, lower lip, aperture, lower head joints, and pressure. So the condition would have to be, then they have to look at head positioning, base and fork, flute to repel to the floor. So mention it first. So Oh. There. There. Okay. Describe the lift across the head joint. The lift across pitch is how to use the term to tell potential success from flute. And this is why a lot of school teachers, by the end of fourth grade, and this is particularly Louisiana, I don't know how they do it in other states, but we do something called band testing. Pretty much having the darn students trying out the instruments. And the fact is, to see what they'll be good at. So the thing is, you have to look at all the things that that could be happening. Like a lip deformity, if you've got, that's gonna make it difficult for one. But in a case like this, students can switch. As teaching and learning techniques, describe the teaching learning sequence that's advantage to. So teachers are being used as models when amateurs introduce the teachers first to demonstrate. And yeah, the students follow what the teachers do. And sometimes they do it without even thinking that they're doing it. Oh. So the flute is designed to play in tune with, okay. So the flute is always a concert pitch instrument. So it's always a C instrument, it's always in tune. There's one particular repetition of flip joint of the body. What is it? That it has to be where note keys are syllable. Demonstrate flute swallowing. Flute swallowing is very common. Demonstration knowledge about just the head joint. The head joint is because if you adjust the head joint in a flute, let's say the conductor or somebody's tuning your butt, sometimes the flute and the conductor will probably say, hey, look, you're sharp, you're flat. You have to sometimes adjust accordingly, so there it is. While demonstrate, okay, so optimal flute hand position. Flute should be when you practice, are you thinking about doing the details? Right now, I just type random answer. When you practice, describe your tone, brassy, clear, or somewhere in between. Let blowing hard on the lip. If your aperture is small enough to, so okay. How is high D relation to the G? High D is sometimes if it's sharp. What causes dizziness during playing? For any type of playing where you're flute or clarinet, you're blowing kind of hard. And a lot of times you're not taking the appropriate breath or so to sustain you, and that's what causes fainting. When you play, how do you describe the amount of head joint pressure against your lower lip? Okay, that's if I paid attention. Because how you describe it, how you get that perfect sound, which is known as a very sweet spot. Create a list of small aperture teaching strategies. Okay, I can explain this in my sleep probably now. If you take a little, okay, the basic thing I remembered working Dr. Astor's class one semester when she taught at Nichols, and that was the second or third instrument I did was flute. I remembered with the head joint, we put one hand over that hole, like kind of pluck it, and hold the other with the with the head joint. That was how we did it. I remember the fact, uh, like having to perform a pouty face. And poo, and like you kind of gotta blow down, like you're blowing into soup or gumbo, and poo into are the two words. I remember it goes. Describe the task that head joint should be plot. I just answered that question. Have you produced for I just, as a sophomore mind, did this poll. Before donkeys introduced how to kind of slow it and put it to or and stuff. What is the flute's possible range? The low C to demonstrate the difference between the fingerings between primary beat and thumb B flat. Okay, so B flat clarinet, the instrument should sound. Wait, no. This one is that. Other than being small, the piccolo is different because it's higher than a normal flute and the lowest note goes is D4, which D above middle C. For the assonation by harmonics, play one or more harmonics. Flutes are pretty common with this stuff. Demonstrate flute tuning. The flute tuning should be with a tuning note. Besides, the conductor can tell if it's sharp or flat. Indicate pitch tendency, soft volume, upper and loud volume. Okay, so this one is loud volume. Everything is sharp or flat. Ludus by pushing the head joint in, and then and the flat part you pull it out. And for your predominant chord has to be a 2 or a 4. That for plagal is 4. Plagal progression, plagal motion is 4-1. Passing chord is bass passes. Compound is an ACC measure built 2 A measure dramatic units. Compound sentence or wait. Compound sentence is compound series is compound antecedent plus antecedent and continuation. Urban blues is early form of blues. Early form of blues. B.B. King is the king of blues. Chicago blues is electrified. Wait, chess record.